as hell, ain't it?
Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. Almost make you think about switching parties a little bit, don't it?
Under no circumstances.
Absolutely, you're right, 100%. I was just playing.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But the Democratic Party does have to do a better job, black folks.
That's true. I mean, this migrant situation is wild.
I mean, but student loans, we got inflation going crazy. I mean, it's a lot, man. They got to do better.
It do make you think, though, huh?
A little bit. Maybe we should stop talking about this stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. We just play ball.
Yeah, let's just hit the ball.
Yeah. Nice shot.
Nice shot, yeah.
Good shot, bro. Nice shot.
All right, on me?
Yeah.
People, we are live on the internet. I'm Dave Rubin. This is the Rubin Report. We are back from an extended weekend. Hope everybody had an enjoyable Memorial Day and was at least for a moment thankful for all of the people who laid it on the line so that we can do silly things like we do every day here in this very silly country. We are live streaming on Rumble, YouTube, local. Share, subscribe, tap that notification bell if you have not. And join us for the postgame show, rubinreport.locals.com. About 30 seconds after this program, two things up top real quick. First off, Friday night, I saw a movie in a theater for the first time in probably like 5 years. I completely forgot what that experience was like. It used to be one of the things that you basically did every weekend before the internet. That's pretty much all you could do. You could basically go to the movies. You could go bowling or roller skating. I used to go to the movies all the time. I saw Furiosa, which was the prequel to Mad Max Fury Road, and it was freaking awesome. If you love the first one, you will love this. They just filled in so many little bits and bytes about the story. The energy was great, the acting was great, the visuals great, really, really great. That's one thing. And then before we begin, I have to apologize to you. This is a Dave Rubin apology, because about a month ago on the show, I said we were never going to show you a clip of Don Lemon again, right? And then a clip came by this morning. And Phoenix and I had a deep philosophical debate about what do we do, because Phoenix said, Dave, this clip of Don Lemon illustrates so perfectly the divide between the suck-ups to the old system and the people who are roughly trying to tell the truth online. And it's just perfect. It'll set us up nicely. And I thought about it and I said, Phoenix, I told the people we're never going to do it again. I punched a clown. It's a lot. I let Phoenix win this fight, and today you will see you're going to see two clips of Don Lemon, and I'm just putting it out there. We're not bringing him back into the fold. I just think his ridiculousness illustrates something that we really want to get to. So a lot of the show today is going to be about really the tension between the old guard and the new guard. That goes not only for the people in our media, but also for in our politics. Also, Donald Trump showed up to the Libertarian Convention, and that thing was a freaking circus, to say the least. Did I ever tell you guys that years ago the Libertarian Party asked me to run for president? They literally did. I kid you not. Like, I could have been part of that circus. And then just like a whole bunch of stuff of Joe Biden sleeping, insulting people, and a bunch more. And then we're going to end on a really nice note that I think will be a bit of an extension of Memorial Day. So let's just dive right into it. Don Lemon. Now remember, Don Lemon, who's, let's say, marginally talented at best. Like, he's not really talented, but he sat in that chair on CNN, did a really terrible job as it pertained to telling the news, because he was an activist, not a journalist. Okay, you guys get that. And eventually the system got sick of him. They threw him out. And now he's got his podcast, but nobody's really watching it or anything. So I get it. And I'm not even trying to pile on the guy. We're using this. He's an avatar here for something that I think is really interesting, which is that there's a certain set of people that no matter what evidence is put in front of them as it pertains to COVID or as it pertains to the border or the economy or anything else, they will still run defense for the system. So Lemon went on the Nelk Boys podcast, which is a huge podcast. And here he is somehow still defending vaccines, mask mandates, and basically his behavior, the way he guilted people into doing, vaccines and mandates and all that stuff while he was an anchor. Go.
People seem to be backtracking on that now.
What do you mean?
The vax thing and like how the efficacy of it at the time and how ivermectin wasn't something that people should be taking. And now Cuomo's out talking about how like, it's actually a good thing. And it was a good thing, but we were told it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? He was just on PBD's podcast talking about that.
Yeah, I don't.
And you and him were really kind of like anti, like take the thing, do it. And
Well, I was pro or anti. This whole argument about vaccines is a little weird to me because I think people are Monday morning quarterbacking the idea of vaccines. I think I thought that people should be doing what would, instead of being selfish for themselves, they should be doing, or we should have been doing what was best for our fellow man. So I think that people who are questioning the use of masks, even in the moment, were being a bit selfish.
Listening to Como speak and listening to like a lot of what people are talking about now is saying that like they knew that there was other methods that people could have done, like ivermectin was one of them that helped.
I don't think they knew that ivermectin. There was no medical evidence that ivermectin could help save people from getting COVID or prevent them from getting COVID or had any effect on the COVID-19 vaccine. So what our health officials, what I believe in medicine, I believe in science, and I believe that my government is looking out for me and trying to do the best for me.
Shouldn't other people have the right to like not take the vaccine and not be like forced to put something in their body that they didn't want?
Yes, you're an American, you have the right to do that. But
it seemed at the time like media was really like shaming people of like, if you didn't get a vaccine, like it's your fault.
No, I don't think. Well, I don't know if the media was shaming people. I think what people were saying was, I think people were being selfish about that. If you don't get the vaccine, then don't get the vaccine, but don't expect to be able to do and go places where people who got the vaccine
and like make a living, right?
Everybody's working from home.
No,
people weren't at work.
I mean, you couldn't go to school.
Did you get the vaccine?
No, I didn't get the vaccine.
I didn't get it.
No, I got the vaccine. But if someone in my office didn't want to get the vaccine, then I would tell them to work from home.
God, I've watched that clip a couple times and it gets worse each time. I mean, he is on his knees blowing a system that literally fired him and he's still into it. He thinks the government is looking out for him. That is an incredible line after everything we have learned after these couple years. Also, it is not being selfish doing what you think is right for you. I did not get the vaccine. He did not get the vaccine. This guy over here didn't get the vaccine. We all thought about it. We weren't hysterical nutbags. We all realized that at the time we lived in California where there's plenty of sun. And although they didn't want us to go outside, we were real rebels, and I used to walk the dog. It was nuts. And we would eat right and exercise and all of those things, right? Like everyone does. It is good to be selfish, not selfish to the extent that you're trying to destroy other people, but looking out for yourself first, and then you can start looking out for the people around you. Like that's just crazy. Also, Monday morning quarterbacking. You fell for all of it, Lemon. When you say there was no evidence that ivermectin worked, there was no evidence that masks worked. And now we know that Fauci himself said they didn't work. And by the way, ivermectin, the reason that they were, Cuomo and Lemon and the rest of those guys were going after ivermectin and HCQ and monoclonal antibodies and all the rest of it is because the only way they could get emergency use authorization for the vaccine was if there were no other usable drugs on the market. So they were just acting as shills because he believes in the government and he believes in science. And by the way, who was sponsoring the Don Lemon show over at CNN the entire time? Well, hot damn. Yes, it was Pfizer and it was brought to you by Moderna. Here's Don Lemon. You guys get it, right? And by the way, as far as Western countries go, the only two countries that allow for vaccine manufacturers to advertise on news programs are America and New Zealand. So he's just wrong on every possible level there. But I want to connect that to the political part because we're going to do a whole bunch of stuff on Biden and Trump, which is I am finding it almost impossible at this point to find anyone in my life, people that I meet on the street, anywhere, that actually supports Joe Biden at this point. I get it, there's a certain amount of people that maybe won't vote for Trump, but I've seen a whole bunch of people wake up. I don't see anyone online defending Biden except sort of Democratic strategists and MSNBC people. Like, I don't know where these 81 million people are, but watch how someone of the system talks about Joe Biden while also denying that he's a Democrat at the exact same time. This is a doozy.
Who am I going to vote for? Joe Biden.
Why?
Because I think he's doing because he's doing a good job for the country. The man is doing a good job. He has arthritis in his spine, so he's a little trouble walking. Okay. Still a good president.
He's got arthritis in the brain, I think, too, or something.
I don't agree with that.
With the power. The Democrats denied when Trump won, too.
I'm not a Democrat. So.
Well, I'm saying you are, but I'm saying they did that. They did the same thing.
Did what?
When Trump beat Clinton, they tried to say it was rigged. Hillary Clinton still says it.
When Trump beat Clinton, Hillary Clinton conceded. She didn't say the election was stolen.
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
I don't know about the rig situation, but I personally think Trump, as a leader and what's going on in the world right now, I feel like he's better to handle world leaders than Biden. And no other world leader respects Biden. Like, I think Biden's going to bring us into war.
That's complete. You're wrong on that.
What?
I think every world leader respects Biden.
Every world leader respects Biden.
Biden is a diplomat. The only person who's probably better on foreign policy than him or equal is Hillary Clinton.
But they're just such warmongers.
You don't think Republicans are warmongers?
Republicans historically have been, but not Trump.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Like old Republicans, like Bush era and all that. Yeah.
Bolton and
Yeah. I'm saying Trump. I'm not saying
Cheney
Republicans.
yeah.
I mean, Trump was a peaceful president, was he not? Like, he didn't start any wars.
Yeah.
I'm being serious. Yeah, I'm being serious.
Well, yeah, but what wars had we started?
Okay. The internet's obviously having a little fun there with the sound effects and the edited stuff and all that. But the reason, again, I'm showing you that, it's not just, okay, Don Lemon doesn't know what he's talking about and Don Lemon sucks up to the system. The reason I'm showing you that is because when the people that run cover for the system are pushed out, they have no idea what they're doing. And Don Lemon perfectly represents that, right? He absolutely represents this thing. Well, guess what? Nelk boy, you're right. Donald Trump didn't start new wars, and we had peace in the Middle East. And again, pre-COVID, you always have to go pre-COVID with Trump, and then we can discuss how he screwed up things during COVID, or if he bowed to the deep state, or he was rolled by these guys, or anything else. But if you go to the day before COVID really kicked in, the economy was doing great. We had peace. There was good things happening in America. You guys know the list, the laundry list of things: lowest all-time black unemployment, lowest all-time Hispanic unemployment. The border was largely closed. So what's happening now is the legacy media people, they can't compete on the new turf, right? They cannot compete because they have been just absorbed by the BS. And then the other thing is that young people who listen to podcasts, who watch shows on YouTube and Rumble and everything else, and people who are just like largely apolitical. It's not about people being like, I'm a Republican, blah. People who are apolitical are suddenly not buying the narrative anymore. And we're going to show you some evidence of that because my buddy Lenny, you know him as Charlamagne the God. I just can't call anyone God, so I call him Lenny. That's his real name. He's getting red-pilled in real time, and we'll show you a little bit of his chat with Megyn Kelly in a moment. But let me talk to you guys about Moink. Guys, you know that 60% of U.S. pork production comes from one company owned by the Chinese, and their hogs are given ractopamine, which is banned in 160 countries, including China, but it's in your grocery aisle every day. Well, there's a better way. You guys know about Moink. That's Moo plus Oink. Moink delivers grass-fed and grass-finished beef and lamb, pastured pork and chicken, and sustainable wild-caught Alaskan salmon straight to your door. Moink farmers farm like our grandparents did. And as a result, Moink meat tastes like it should because the family farm does it better. The Moink difference is a difference you can taste, and you can feel good knowing you're helping family farms stay financially independent as well. You choose the meat delivered in every box, like ribeyes, chicken breast, pork chops, to salmon fillets, and much more. Plus, you can cancel anytime. Shark Tank host Kevin O'Leary called Moink's bacon the best bacon he's ever tasted, and they guarantee you'll say, oink, oink. I'm just so happy I got moinked. Keep American farming going by signing up at moinkbox.com/Rubin now. And listeners of this show get free bacon for a year. That's one of the best bacon you'll ever taste, but for a limited time, moinkbox.com/Rubin, moinkbox.com/Rubin. And now back to me. Okay, so Lenny. You guys know about Lenny, very popular radio show. He's out there. I did Piers Morgan's show with him once. He is otherwise known, I suppose, as Charlamagne the God. I just can't do it. Anyway, he went on Megyn Kelly's show, and here he is making some sense. Because you remember last week we showed you that Morehouse College speech that Joe Biden gave, which is a historically black college, Morehouse College, and he gets up there and he tells them that the country's been racist against them and they're going to have to work 10 times harder than anybody else, and he's going on and on about policing and George Floyd. It was one of the most divisive, awful commencement speeches. It might have been quite literally the most awful divisive commencement speech in the history of college graduations. In any event, that's what he did there. And here's Charlamagne calling out Joe Biden for doing that to a whole bunch of young black people who are just getting their lives started. And maybe you shouldn't be telling them that the entire system's rigged against them.
It's just interesting that, President Biden would go to Morehouse and, make those statements when a lot of those issues, those problems he's contributed to, whether it was, the 86 mandatory minimum sentencing, whether it was the 88 crack law, the 94 crime bill. There's a lot of things that he, contributed to in regards to keeping, the black man down. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's just interesting that he would go to Morehouse and talk like that. You're the president of the United States of America. You are the person that, we are looking to, at least, if not change some of those things, speak to changing some of those things because you contributed to so much of that.
Okay, so it's interesting because he's talking about historical things that the Democrats and Joe Biden, because Joe Biden's been in government for basically 50 years at this point, which is more years than I've been alive. That is completely insane. He's talking about some of the historical stuff, but you need only look at the stuff of the last couple of years. Look what's going on in our inner cities with crime, where a lot of black people live. That's largely the fault of Joe Biden and his party, the Democrats. The way we've kept people in perpetual cycles of poverty, largely the fault of Democrats, social welfare programs, all of the rest of it. The drugs that are on the streets, and now the illegals who are getting some of the services that those black people used to get, right? We've shown you videos out of Chicago where they're like, the people who were getting social services before are suddenly like, wait a minute, we're being kicked out of our shelters and everything else because of these illegals. Again, congratulations, Joe Biden. And here's just, we'll throw you back for a 30 or 40 second clip of Joe Biden giving that unbelievably horrible speech.
You missed your high school graduation. You started college just as George Floyd was murdered. And there was a reckoning on race. It's natural to wonder if democracy you hear about actually works for you. What is democracy? If black men are being killed in the street, what is democracy? The trail of broken promises still leave black communities behind. What is democracy? You have to be 10 times better than anyone else to get a fair shot. And most of all, what does it mean, as we've heard before, to be a black man who loves his country, even if it doesn't love him back in equal measure?
That line, I mean, there's so much there, and his anger and the dysregulated emotions and all that, but that line that you have to work 10 times harder if you're black, it is so dishonest and it is so evil, and what a horrible thing. Really, I can't get over it. I genuinely can't get over it. Like, what a horrible way to tell young people who hopefully have just worked hard and learned the right things at these schools as they're about to go out into the real world. But by the way, when he says that black people are being shot in the street, way more white people are shot in the street. However, in Chicago this weekend, 41 people were shot in the street. And you know why you're not going to hear that on network news? Because probably all of them were black. At least 80% of them, I can guarantee you that. And they were shot by other black people, but he doesn't really care about that. I want to throw back to one 6-second clip. This was when Joe Biden was running for president the first place. And this should have ended it with the black community as it pertains to Joe Biden. Listen to this pandering drivel. I know you've heard it before, but this is Joe Biden talking to Charlamagne, AKA Lenny. And listen to this. This is just pandering drivel 101.
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Like, it's really incredible, no matter how many times you hear it. Like, the balls of that brain-busted buffoon to say something like that. You are not black if you vote for Donald Trump. In essence, he's saying, if you don't believe the political things that I believe, if you don't believe what I believe on foreign policy and taxes and blah, blah, you're not black. Like, it's so extraordinary, but all they have is this ridiculous race and gender-driven nonsense. And more people are waking up to it. We're going to show you some stuff from Trump's Bronx rally, because it was a party, and it was a wide tent situation, which is exactly what I've been telling Donald Trump that he needs to do, because then we can flip this whole freaking thing. So we got a bunch on that coming up in just a second. Let me talk to you guys about Gravity Defier shoes. Guys, let me share my recent discovery with you. G Defy shoes, GDEFY. Let me tell you, they're simply amazing. No, they're beyond amazing. G-Defy is a footwear company on a mission to relieve knee, back, and foot pain. As many of you know, I've struggled with knee pain from balling all these years. Joey, how was that finger roll a couple days ago? Pretty sweet? Yeah, I'm back, baby. But from the moment I slipped into my G-Defy shoes, the pain just vanished. How does G-Defy achieve this ultimate comfort? Firstly, every pair comes with free custom orthotics to align your body perfectly. Then there's their patented VersoShock trampoline technology in the heel, which absorbs harmful shocks and provides positive renewed energy, empowering you to tackle your day. G-Defy has integrated a strong structural system into their shoes that improves your posture and encourages you to walk using your calf and other major muscle groups. Don't just take my word for it. Read the countless customer reviews raving about the pain relief and amazing comfort they have experienced with G-Defy. I, for one, can't get enough of them, and I wholeheartedly recommend them to anyone looking for relief. Experience the comfort and pain relief for yourself. Visit gdefy.com today and use code Rubin30 for $30 off $150 or more. And now, back to me. All right, so let's jump back to the other guy, to that guy that if you don't vote for Biden, you ain't black. Well, there's another guy. His name's Donald Trump. And if you vote for him, you might be any color because he doesn't really care about color or gender or sexuality or the rest of it. Here's a little video of the Trump rally in the Bronx a couple days ago.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you very much. This is some turnout.
What was the crowd like, and what kind of response did he get?
Well, certainly a bigger crowd than I think Democrats would like to see, particularly given this is one of the bluest counties in the entire country. Now, one of the things that was interesting to me is that the Trump campaign said that they were going to micro-target to get people from the community to come to this rally. I wasn't sure what to expect. I've gone to a lot of these rallies across the country, and there are often people who travel hundreds of miles to see Donald Trump, and they're not necessarily part of the community. However, one of the things that I found was that there were a lot of people here that were actually from the Bronx.
One thing I want to say, they always gonna whisper your accomplishments and shout your failures. Trump gonna shout the wins for all of us. Make America great again.
Thank you, fellas. Appreciate you. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you very much. That's where I like those teeth. I want to find out where you did. I got to get my teeth like that. I want that to happen to me.
It really is just incredible. Like, he wants the guy's gold teeth, but he's real. He's a real person. The dancing. And this is the guy they're telling you is a white supremacist, while at these rallies, there's tons of black people and there's Latinos and they're gays and everything else, right? And you could see how depressed the CNN anchor is as she has to try to explain it. She's like, usually it's people from all over the place, but I guess there are a lot of Bronx people here. And it's like, guys, for several months during the primary situation, I was critical of Trump. I didn't like some of the things he was doing. These are our choices right now. These are our choices. And there is you think anyone at that rally hates America? You think anyone at that rally just wants more and more from the system? Or do they just want a system that basically works and gets out of their way so they can live their life, right? That's the wide tent thing. So the guy with the gold teeth is voting on the same side that the libertarian and that the old school religious conservative is on, because we're all Americans first. That is the point. Trump made that point himself because that's what he does.
We had the greatest economy in history. Everybody here, where you have a small business or if you had a job, you were getting more than you ever made. And we had no inflation. We had no 1.4%, considered better than none, because frankly, none in its own way is a bad thing also. We had a perfect number, 1.4%. It doesn't matter whether you're black or brown or white or whatever the hell color you are, it doesn't matter. We are all Americans, and we're going to pull together as Americans.
Yeah, and it's just like, that's right. That is what America used to be. It is in the last 20 years that we slowly and then very quickly allowed the progressives to take over so many of the institutions and frame the narrative in such a way. But just remember, guys, the guy they are telling you is the white supremacist is the guy that is on stage telling you, I don't care what color you are. And then the guy that they're purporting is the good guy is the guy with dementia who's telling black people they're going to go out after they graduate college and get shot and have to work 10 times harder. Which one of these is closer to the truth? I think you know, and believe it or not, even the wackadoodles over at the televised mental institution known as MSNBC, even they kind of have to acknowledge it every now and again.
It's too much crime. Everything is going downhill. The economy is going bad. The food is expensive. It's like affordable housing is not for everybody. It's just horrible.
I want food to go cheaper. The gas, I want gas cheaper. When I came and he was the president, the gas was a lot cheaper than it is right now.
Now we're becoming the Bronx second-class citizens. We have this influx of migrants are coming in, and they're getting everything. And everyone in the Bronx, in the city of New York, is forgotten.
Did you ever expect Donald Trump to come to the South Bronx?
Not really. No, never. Nobody else, I think, had done this. I think it's a good thing. It doesn't matter who it is.
I think I definitely am surprised. I don't think I would have, expected him to come to the Bronx. So
actually, I think him being in the Bronx is pretty cool. So I was like, I'm gonna just go through and see. We were interested, so we took a walk over, and it's pretty cool to see the different diversity of people that came and are coming together for today.
That's what I was gonna say. Have you ever gone to a Trump rally? Are you political at all? Or are you just curious about
No,
what's
I've
going
never
on?
been. I actually just came because he's in the Bronx.
I didn't expect it, to be honest, right here at Crotona Park in the South Bronx, but us people, we love Trump.
I don't know of any president that's ever come to the Bronx. Period.
Did you ever expect him to come here?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Isn't that a nice compilation and cross-section of people? They all happen to live in the Bronx. They're kind of seeing what's up. They're probably not thought of as traditional Republican voters. But Donnie, if you're watching, and I know this gets to Mar-a-Lago every now and again, that's the wide tent thing you want to keep going with, because that thing is unstoppable, because that's based in all of the good stuff that America's about. And that woman there who said the thing about she saw a lot of diversity there. Now, I tend to think what she was talking about was skin color, and it's not that matters, meaning she meant there were Latinos there and blacks and whites and Asians. Okay, fine. But I remember the first time years ago that I went to a Trump rally, and I still wasn't supporting Trump per se, but I had never had complete Trump derangement syndrome. I was like, if he does good things, I'll laud him for it. If he does bad things, I'll call that out. And I went to that Beverly Hills. It just happened. I happened to be driving by it, and there was a Beverly Hills right on Rodeo Drive Trump rally. And I went in, and there were all sorts of people, all sorts of true diversity, and people were having a blast. And that is the thing that you want to grab. That's the powerful, inspirational thing, Donald Trump, because the reverse of that is what the Democrats have. And here is Democrat Governor Kathy Hochul, the woman who is the governor of the state that Bronx resides in, and listen to how she talks about those people that you heard right there.
Well, I'll tell you, it won't make a difference at all, Jake, and that is for Donald Trump to be the ringleader of and invite all his clowns to a place like the Bronx. New York will never, ever support Donald Trump for president. We know him better than anyone, and that means we understand what he's all about is just for himself.
All right. You've made your choice, Democrats. You have made your choice. You think those people are clowns. Well, I would challenge those people to vote their interests when November rolls around, and we will see who the real clowns are. But Trump, it's not that he's just going to the Bronx. He also did something very, very out of the blue the other day. He went over the weekend. He went to the Libertarian National Convention, and he got a bit of a mixed review, but I think it was well worth doing. We'll show you a couple clips of that in just a second. Let me talk to you guys about American financing. Guys, in today's economic climate, many of us find ourselves facing the challenge of managing our monthly expenses, and high credit card interest rates can trap you in a cycle of debt with balances that persist month after month. Paying only the minimum each month means it could take years to become debt-free. Reach out to American Financing, a trusted partner in helping people achieve financial freedom. If you're a homeowner, they can tap into your home's equity and help you eliminate hate interest credit card debt. On average, their customers save $854 per month, the equivalent to receiving a $10,000 annual raise. The process is straightforward and quick. You could close your loan in as little as 10 days, and by acting today, you might not even have to pay your next mortgage payment. It costs nothing to see how much you can save. This opportunity to regain control of your finances is too significant to ignore. 866-890-9392. That's 866-890-9392. Or visit AmericanFinancing.net/Rubin. And now back to me. So, okay, Donald Trump goes to the Bronx and he sees a bunch of people that the media does not want you to think might vote for Republican or might vote for Donald Trump. Another place he went to was the Libertarian National Convention, and he spoke there, and it was quite interesting. There were cheers, there were jeers, there were boos, there were people screaming Trump. It was wild, as a Libertarian convention usually is. Take a look at this.
The Libertarian Party should nominate Trump for President of the United States. Whoa. That's nice. That's nice. Only if you want to win. Only if you want to win. Maybe you don't want to win. Maybe you don't want to win. Thank you, D-Roy. Thank you. No, only do that if you want to win. If you want to lose, don't do that. Keep getting your 3% every 4 years. The reasons for doing so, policy and politics, are as solid as the Hope Diamond.
All right, so that is very much what a libertarian convention is like. It's libertarians, what do they say? You know, libertarians is trying to like wrangle cats. It's basically impossible, and they want to spend most of their time debating whether we should have driver's licenses or not. Obviously, many of my beliefs are libertarian-minded. I want the government out of as much things as possible. I always say classical liberals generally are libertarians. They're just sort of more realistic libertarians that realize that some sort of system has to exist, right? That's my basic premise. But Donald Trump really was the most libertarian president we've had in decades. He rolled back the wars, right? That's obvious. He lowered taxes. That's obvious. COVID, for all of the things he screwed up, he largely left it to the states. That would be libertarian-minded. He doesn't care who you marry. That would be libertarian-minded, right? Like, and libertarians, you're booing him there. He showed up to your convention, and he's right. You guys would be lucky if you got 3 or 4%. What did the last two libertarian presidential candidates get? There was Jo Jorgensen. I think she got like maybe she got 1%. Maybe 1.5%, and Gary Johnson probably got about 3%. So 3 to 4% would be bullish on the libertarians. So what you might want to do if you're a libertarian is go, okay, I'm probably never going to get what I want, because libertarian political ideology is mostly utopian, right? And that's not, I don't mean that as a negative per se, but it's a lofty goal. Jo Jorgensen got 1.2%. So Trump was saying get the 3 to 4 every year. Their last candidate got 1.2%. You see the point, right? It's mostly a utopian ideology. So what you would want to do is you would want to say, okay, I will join the guy who could win and see if I can push him in a libertarian way. By the way, I said this a million times as I was starting to come around on Trump first time around, is that one of the reasons I came around on Trump was because the most libertarian member of the Senate, Rand Paul, son of Ron Paul, the sort of modern political father of libertarianism in American politics, he was Trump's biggest backer in the Senate, right? Basically him and Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, a couple other guys. But Rand Paul was right there. So to me, that's how you actually get involved in the game. You don't just boo the people who are in the game. Anyway, the Libertarian Party decided not to back Trump officially. They could have. They could have backed anyone they want officially after the convention. And, well, they went with this guy.
Well, I think that we see that routinely, you know, if not voted was actually on the ballot, they would win nearly every election in this country. And that's something that the two-party system has facilitated as well. Again, that's the reason why we need more choices on our ballots, so we can get more people out to vote.
I don't even know who he is. It doesn't really matter. He's not completely wrong right there. We're all disaffected with all of the choices and the binary thing, but it is what it is. And because we are on the precipice of giving away the freest, most prosperous nation in the history of the world to a bunch of communists and Marxists who would love to take us all out, perhaps we should go like this and pinch our nose and vote for the orange man. At the convention, or after the convention on the side, Tim Pool was there, and he sat down with Donald Trump, and they talked a bit about the war situation, these endless wars we keep getting into, which Donald Trump didn't do. Thus, a libertarian should be interested in what he has to say.
So when it came to foreign policy, I'll be honest, I didn't vote for you in 2016. I was jaded. Obama let me down. I'm from Chicago. I thought 2016 was silly. And then in 2020, with the timeline for getting out of Afghanistan,
right,
when you tried to get our troops out of Syria, my question is, why are we in Syria? Who even knew?
Yeah.
And they lied to you, and they lied to us about the number of troops in there. And so maybe it's a bit blunt for me to say I want to see people prosecuted for the lies to the American people. But in terms of foreign policy, perhaps it's a little bit of a biased interview, but I think you're the greatest president of my lifetime.
I appreciate it.
And ending the wars that we should not have been involved in. Now the fear is World War III.
Yeah.
What are you looking at when you enter your next term to stopping the escalation?
Well, first of all, I'm the only one that is going to stop World War III, because this man can't put two sentences together. He doesn't know what he's doing, doesn't know where he is. And amazingly, it seems like he's going to be running. You know, it's a lot of people say, do you think he'll make it to the starting gate? Well, we'll see what happens. But if you look at Viktor Orban, because we don't want to see wars. I don't want to see wars. I was in no wars other than we finished a war with ISIS, and we completed it, 100% complete. But I don't want to see wars. I think it's so horrible, so unnecessary, so costly in terms of lives and money in that order, and destroying these countries. You know, you're destroying culture. When you look at Ukraine, that would have never happened if I were president. You look at the October 7th attack on Israel, it would have never happened.
That's all just true, and there's evidence of it, right? Ukraine, right? What did Russia do when Obama was president? They took Crimea. Then they did nothing under the 4 years of Trump, and then now we know what's going on with Biden. There's every reason to think that October 7th wouldn't have happened, and certainly Iran attacking Israel so brazenly a month ago absolutely wouldn't have happened, because Trump killed Soleimani. And Trump, you didn't know what he was going to do. You have peace through strength, right? You don't just go into countries and blow them apart and destroy their cultures and try to rejigger them, something like that. That's what you don't, well, that's what a lot of Republicans have done in the past. But again, this is where Trump is more libertarian, not because he just runs around saying no war. Just saying no war doesn't mean anything. Saying no war and if you F with us, you will be screwed is a sensible position. I would like to see more libertarians wake up to that. You know, just the anti-war crowd, just I'm anti-war. Well, all right, some people might want to kill you. So it's not enough to just say I'm anti-war. You want to actually have a military, strengthen that military, and then say to the world, don't F with us and you won't have war. That's how it works. And Trump is completely right about all of that. And clearly, more and more people are coming around to that sort of thing. I want to show you one other clip from that interview, because they talked about law enforcement as it pertains to immigration and these illegals everywhere. And can Trump actually pull off a mass deportation, which now most Americans want, because we are being invaded, about 10 million people in, 3.5 years or so.
Young people, surprisingly, immigration is a top issue for them now. I was talking to a young guy, he's 26. He says he's watching what's going on in New York. He owns a business. He can't afford to buy his own house. He struggles to be able to support a family. And I know that you've said that there's going to be the largest deportation effort in your next term. How do we do it?
So millions and millions of people are coming into a country, and it's not necessarily exactly what we want or had in mind. They have open borders where people just flow in. And many of those people are coming from prisons. Many of those people, frankly, are murderers and they're drug dealers, and they're coming from mental institutions, and they're coming from places that are not going to work very well. It's not going to be very good for our country. So we're going to start with that, and we have to get them out. No country can sustain what we're going through. I believe the number is 15, 16 million, could even be 17 million people right now. That's bigger than almost all of our states.
I think it's freaking out young people. How do we do it, though? I mean, is it going to be new personnel?
It will really be done with local police. You know, the respect has been taken away. The honor has been taken away from our police forces. They're not allowed to do anything. And whether it's libertarian or not libertarian, you have to have law and order. You can't have 500 people walking into a department store and just walking out with everything they have. And we have to give honor and respect back, and I believe immunity.
You know, it was interesting what he did there right at the end, whether it's libertarian or not libertarian, because he's at the Libertarian Convention. And generally, libertarians don't want to give a lot of power to the state. So they don't love police. They don't love the military as a general rule, but they believe in property rights, right? Like that's one of the reasons that the government should exist, so that you have a piece of land that is yours and it's not your neighbor's, and that you can have a store and people can't just run into it. So the libertarians, again, here should want law and order as it pertains to crime and all of the illegals and everything else. And the fact that he said he would leave most of this to local law enforcement, that would be good if every state, imagine if Donald Trump becomes president. Now we roll into January of next year, and Trump says, well, first off, we're going to close the border, or we're going to build the wall. We're going to do something structural there to stop this endless stream of people coming in, right? That's the first thing, right? Because we have a sick patient here, in essence, and you can't keep pumping drugs, you know, that are going to kill the patient, right? Okay, so that's one thing. But then imagine if he said, okay, now every state, you got to do what you got to do. Well, we know that the blue states won't do much, and that's just how it will be, and they will continue to crumble. But if you said to Florida and to Texas and to a bunch of other red states, go ahead and get rid of the illegals. They are not citizens of this country. They are breaking the law by definition. We can look at various things as it pertains to case by case and have people been here for a certain amount of time, and are they doing jobs, and do they have a sponsor? Do they have families here and everything? Like, we can do some of that, but leave it to the states to figure out what to do, as opposed to what we have now, which is the federal government freaking suing the states like Texas for trying to do the job that the federal government won't do in the first place. Anyway, as I've laid out, the guy is just telling the truth. It's not that fancy. It really is not. And what's happening is a bunch of not fancy people, say those people in the Bronx, they're realizing that he's right. And now look what's going on at the polling, with the polling on all of this. This is from CNN. Nevada, Trump is up 13. Georgia, he's up 9. Arizona, he's up 6. So Georgia and Arizona are thought of somewhat as swing states. Pennsylvania, he's up 3. That's a swing state. Wisconsin, he's up 1, swing state. Michigan, Biden up 1. And we can see, to connect it to something else, what's going on with Joe Biden and the radicalness of the Democrat Party. They are really trying to get Michigan, Dearborn in that area, a lot of Muslims there. They are trying to throw Israel under the bus to get that section. I don't think it will work. I think it's evil in nature to begin with. But I don't think it will work anyway. But let's shift over. We've done some stuff on Donald Trump, so let's shift over to Joe Biden. How's Joe Biden doing? Well, it was a long weekend, and everyone got to rest up. Did you guys catch up on some rest over the weekend? A little R&R, had some good food, maybe had a drink, went to the beach. Joe Biden was also able to catch up on rest at a Memorial Day ceremony.
How tough the fighting was that day. It's only fitting that the Army has named its newest armored combat vehicle the M10 Booker. That name honors both Staff Sergeant Booker and Private Robert Booker of Nebraska, who was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor for his stunning battlefield heroism in Tunisia in 1943 during World War.
Not just that he's sleeping, it's that he looks dead, right? He's sleeping as we're talking about soldiers that are dead on Memorial Day. We got another clip of this. So this is a few minutes later. It's a side camera. And listen to the way he talks to these people. The guy is lost. People.
Understanding what you may hear about me, I have incredibly good judgment. 1, I married Jill. And 2, I appointed Johnson to the academy. I just want you to know that. Just clap for that, you stupid bastards.
Clap for that, you stupid bastards. He's at a Memorial Day ceremony honoring dead soldiers. That's what Memorial Day is about. And because they didn't applaud him, clap for that, you stupid bastards. Like, I don't know if that's a little of everything. That's a little bit of he doesn't know what he's doing, and it's a little bit of like emotionally dysregulated because of what's going on in his brain. And it's also just a complete dismissiveness to the people around him. He's just absolutely awful. But it's not just him that's awful. The entire administration at this point is wrong about everything because they made race huckstering central to their entire thesis, right? It was about race, and of course gender and blah, blah, blah. We showed you a video before of Donald Trump saying he didn't care if you were black or brown or anything else. That's the way America's supposed to work. Here's a tweet from the Biden administration over the weekend. Look at this. President Biden's judicial confirmations by the numbers. Record professional diversity amongst confirmed judges. Are they qualified? Who knows? 64% of confirmed judges are women. Well, I don't think 64% of people are women, so that seems a little odd. 62% are confirmed people of color. Well, that seems kind of discriminatory against white people. First black woman ever confirmed to the Supreme Court, Ketanji Brown Jackson. She doesn't know what a woman is, but we got her. More black women confirmed to circuit courts than all other presidents combined. Do we know anything about their judicial history? Hot damn, I don't. More Hispanic judges confirmed to circuit courts than any other individual administration. Okay, same thing. And more AANHPI judges confirmed by any other individual administration. I don't even know what that is. What was that? Let's see if we can figure that out together. AANHPI judges. Let's say Asian maybe, but I don't think they care about Asians. Asian, let's say Asian, asexual, thank you. All right, so let's work with this. Give me it again. Asian, asexual. What do you think the N stands for? Probably not that. Asian, asexual, non-binary. Connor's killing it today. Asian, asexual, non-binary, we got an H. Hormonal, what? Hormonal. P, polyamorous. Indigenous. Okay, so we have more, what is it? More AANHPI people than ever. So that's Asian, asexual, non-binary, hormonally, polyamorous, indigenous people. We have more of them as judges than ever before. God bless that man. I actually retract everything I've said during this show. We've done it, people. We've really done it. We also hired a guy who was completely unqualified to be transportation secretary because he's gay. He was the mayor of a small town. They said, can you run the entire transportation thing in the United States? You've just run South Bend, Indiana. You were a marginal mayor. No one thought you were good, but you do a pretty good Barack Obama impression, and you're gay? Okay, let's give you a job. Well, check this out. This was over the weekend. Pete Buttigieg went on one of the Sunday programs, and we've given $7.8 billion in federal contracting to build electronic vehicle charging stations, and only 7 or 8 have been built. That's about $1 billion per station. Pete was asked about that.
The Federal Highway Administration says only 7 or 8 charging stations have been produced with a $7.5 billion investment that taxpayers made back in 2021. Why isn't that happening more quickly?
So the president's goal is to have 500,000 chargers up by the end of this decade. Now, in order to do a charger, it's more than just plunking a small device into the ground. There's utility work, and this is also really a new category of federal investment. But we've been working with each of the 50 states. Every one of them is getting formula dollars to do this work, engaging them in the first handful. Again, by 2030, 500,000 chargers. And the very first handful of chargers are now already being physically built.
It's just drivel. 7 or 8 charging stations for $7.8 billion. I have a Tesla. Elon Musk put superchargers all over the country, so you literally on an electric car can drive everywhere throughout the country. You can bisect the country 1,000,000 times without running out of power because you can go to those superchargers. Somehow Elon did it, and this dingbat, it's costing him $1 billion per charger. What's the 76 you're giving me? That's it's for the entire grid. So I want some more info on that. I was trying to find out how much it costs to build basically the entire supercharger grid. The number I'm seeing here is 76 million. That seems light on the Elon side, but either way, the point is these charging stations shouldn't cost $1 billion each, but congratulations, he's gay. Let's move over to West Virginia Senator Shelley Capito. She had it's about 2 minutes long, but this is really worth seeing because the clip that we just showed you is about government waste, right? So if you're a libertarian watching this, or you're a libertarian who maybe was at the convention and booing Trump, it's like you have a much bigger problem because Democrats, it costs them $1 billion to put in an electric car station. And check this out, how the Democrats are wasting, not just wasting money, but literally funding money to terrorist organizations. This is absolutely extraordinary.
Well, I wanted to bring to everybody's attention something that doesn't get much attention, and you've heard the term follow the money. So I looked up where did follow the money. I thought it was from a Tom Cruise movie, but it wasn't. It was from Watergate. And follow the money is what they did in Watergate, and we saw what happened. So my young staffer, who's very bright, and I see him over there, Adam Pack, followed the money. And the money is from the so-called Inflation Reduction Act. So in the name of green and environmental justice, there's over $40 billion that are going to be granted out through the EPA. So, with this great research that was done, what was discovered that in December, the EPA granted $50 million to an organization called Climate Justice Alliance. So we went to the website of Climate Justice Alliance. This is what we found on the website, that our taxpayer dollars are going to organizations such as this. This, at the bottom, is a picture of the bulldozer that went through the fence when Hamas attacked Israel on October the 7th. They have a rendering on their website. It says decolonize Palestine, and it has a picture of that same bulldozer going through that fence. If you dig deeper, they want to defund the police, defund the military, either them or their affiliates want to have very radical, drastic initiatives that I think are anti-American. And they're certainly anti-Israel and anti-Semitic. So the Biden administration doesn't seem to care. $50 million in December. Who knows how much more in the future, and other like groups, because there are other associated groups with this group. There's no inspector general for EPA to follow the money because they don't care. Because all they care about is the mission, the climate mission, no matter what the radical ideas that are associated with the groups. So then you could ask yourself, is this group really going to be funding climate, cleaning up the water and cleaning up the soil and cleaning up the air? Or are they going to be funding things like the protests they had in Hart just several weeks ago, where several of them were arrested? So follow the money. We're going to be doing that in the Environment and Public Works Committee. That's where the derivation of this was. And I find it rather startling to me that the EPA is not doing, and the administration are not doing any better research as to where our American taxpayer dollars are going.
I know that was a bit long, but man, you guys get it? How come that video is not going to be on CNN? I guarantee it. How come that's not going to be on MSNBC? I guarantee it. Or covered in the New York Times? I mean, you know the answer to that question, obviously, because they're all in cahoots with each other. But basically, here's a senator who had a staffer just do a little digging, and they find out that the EPA is funding something called the climate whatever that's getting $50 million basically for pro-Palestinian protests. And of course, that's linked to ultimately going after America and everything else. So we, the taxpayer, are funding the demise of our own country because that's what the Democrats and these NGOs are planning to do. And they're basically being exposed, and we know nothing's going to happen of it. So I'm just telling it to you just so you can have it, just so you can think about it, I suppose, because the government ain't going to do anything about it, at least under this administration. And why is it? Well, why is that? Well, because basically the Democrats at this point there is a match made in hell between a bunch of communists and Marxists and anarchists and authoritarians and then a guy with dementia and a whole bunch of people who are trying to destroy America. I cannot describe it to you any other way. I don't think that they're just inept, that they're just a bunch of morons. I do think they are morons, but I think it's a little beyond moronic at this point, right? So check this out. This is some video where now it is known that non-citizens are voting. Yes, it's happening. They say this is what they do with everything, right? It's not happening. Oh, it is happening, but it's not a big deal. Yes, it's happening, but it's actually kind of good for us. Go.
I want to turn now to something that's getting a lot of attention, efforts to prevent non-citizens from voting. We should note that it's exceedingly rare, and yet some officials believe it's an urgent matter, including yourself, Secretary Raffensperger. Why? And we should note it's already against the law to vote if you're a non-citizen.
Because I believe only American citizens should be voting in our elections. And I ran back in 2018 saying the same thing. I'm the first Secretary of State in Georgia to ever do 100% citizenship verification. And what we found was about 1,600 people that attempted to register, but we couldn't verify citizenship, so they weren't put on the voter rolls. So my fellow Georgians asked me, are non-citizens voting in Georgia? I can say, no, they aren't. because we've checked it. And then we've just won a court case which came from the left, for the coalition of the People's Agenda and the New Georgia Project, which was founded by Stacey Abrams. We won that court case because they tried to stop us from doing citizenship verification before people were put on the voter rolls. We won that court case, and because we won that court case, we put an end to it in Georgia. But also, any other state that gets sued can use us as, an example, as a precedent to make sure you can check your voter
We were
rolls.
both going to jump in.
Go
and
ahead.
I think
Secretary
I've got good news for everyone. All of us want to make sure only U.S. citizens are voting in our elections, and all of us follow the law, ensure the federal provisions are protected, and that we're ensuring that only valid votes are counted in our state. So we're all committed to that, and I think it's really important for folks to know that regardless of our party affiliation, we're doing all that we can and more to ensure, as the facts show in all of our states, that only U.S. citizens are voting.
But the key point you just said, though, was federal provisions. There's no provision for state law other than state law. And so states really should put in their constitution, like the state of Georgia, I've asked them to do, make sure that only American citizens are voting in any election in your state.
Okay, so that's a fine job by the Georgia Secretary of State. Did you notice the way that the segment was introduced? It's exceedingly rare that illegals vote. Well, there's actually no evidence of that, because I used to live in a place called California. It's a communist shithole. And you could not, if you tried to show them your ID when you went to vote, they would freak out. I did it once by accident. When I walked in to vote, I just pulled my ID up and the guy was like, no, 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 no. So all you would have to do if you were an illegal is figure out where somebody lived and literally knew their name and their address. So the day before the election, you could just walk up to somebody's house and open up their mailbox and be like, oh, Bob Smith lives here and this is Bob Smith's address. And then when the polls open, you could go and say, yo, I am Bob Smith. Yes, I am. And they can't question you. So we have no freaking idea. And that woman in the purple, it's like, she's obviously the Democrat on the panel. It's like, you guys, you want illegals to vote. Otherwise, why is it that you don't want voters to have IDs? Everyone that wants an ID has an ID. Once again, I'm fairly certain I've seen black people on planes, right? Samuel L. Jackson, snakes on a plane. I literally saw him on a plane once also. It wasn't the snake time, it was another time. So what's really going on here? What's really going on here, of course, is that the Democrats are trying to flood the system. They want to flood the system with illegals, give them stuff, and then once they are given stuff, they will be Democrat voters. Here is Chuck Schumer basically admitting it.
Now more than ever, we're short of workers. We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are.
Oh, all 11 million or however many, who the hell knows? Oh, our population rates are dropping? That's interesting that you're acknowledging that now and that people should have more kids. Maybe you would want to create the economic conditions so people could do that and they could afford homes and everything else. That's not interesting to you guys. And we're short of workers. I mean, there is plenty of work to be had, but you morons keep increasing the minimum wage, for example, so that McDonald's is like, you know what? We don't want to pay $18 for this fry flipper. We will put in an iPad. You guys screw up everything and then you blame the system for it. Here's a woman who's a non-citizen and she is part of the Elections Commission in San Francisco. My Chinese isn't that good, so if somebody could maybe translate. You speak a little, I'm going to have Phoenix do a rough translation for us after. Go.
咁就其實喺2年前我嚟到三藩市嘅時候咧，咁我就認識咗好多原來三藩市有好多嘅權利嘅喎，好多權利係好多非公民啊、移民咧都可以享有嘅，包括咧就算你唔係公民咧都可以咧去做委員。
All right, so that's Kelly Wong. She's now an elections commissioner. She won the election over there. Phoenix is a little rusty on the Chinese. We believe she said death to America. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, yes, they are coming. We don't know why they're coming, what they're doing, what they believe, everything else. Check this out. This is U.S. Navy Fleet Forces Commander Admiral talking about how not only are they coming through our borders, but they're also trying to infiltrate our military bases. And we are having now 2 to 3 of these interactions per week.
On Jennifer's reporting, Chechens, Jordanians, some of them just crossed the border. What's going on?
Well, you know, this thing of our military bases getting penetrated by foreign nationals is happening more and more. You know, this is something we see probably 2 or 3 times a week where we're stopping these folks at the gate. A week at least, and this is just Navy alone. where we're seeing folks try to come in, and usually the cover story is, and I'm a student, I'm here, I'm an enthusiast, I want to see the ships, that type of thing. We have to turn them around. And typically we get NCIS involved with those, and we get biometrics when possible. But yes, there's been an uptick in that.
Do they have passports? Do they have?
A lot of times they have passports.
Papers?
They have papers, yes. But they're in no way, shape, or form authorized to be on our base. And it's really hard for us to tell the underlying motive for these type of cases.
Wow, that's stunning.
It is.
It's got to be a concern.
This is Russian, Chinese. It comes from all these different nations. We're seeing an uptick in it.
In addition to that, there's been some reporting on this over the last 6 months. You're getting 2 or 3 drones flying over military bases in America per week.
That is no question.
Okay, so a bunch of Russians and Chechens and Chinese are saying that they're students and they just want to tour the base, and drones are flying over the base, and they don't know how to figure out who these people are, where they came from, on top of the fact that about 11 million or 10 million people have flooded into the countries and we just have no freaking idea what's going on. But basically, if you say anything about immigration, of course, you know you are a racist. Here is Ana Navarro, and how this woman has one job is a miracle to me, but somehow she has 2 jobs. Not only is she one of the harpies on The View every day, she's also a CNN contributor. She also lives in the free state of Florida, enjoying all of our freedoms here while pretending that she's living in some sort of dystopian nightmare. And here she is going after Hispanics who are against illegal immigration. I consider Hispanics to be citizens like everybody else, so I don't view their skin color or their culture as something that causes them to be anti-American, but I think she kind of does.
I mean, you and I have talked about this many times, about his rhetoric, the rhetoric he uses to talk about migrants and so on. And I just have to ask you, Anna, I mean, when you look at the poll numbers, and you see, if you break out the demographics, Trump is doing better among Latinos. He is doing better among African American voters, and it certainly is a threat to the president's reelection campaign. Is there I mean, what do you make of this disconnect?
Jim, and this is the truth, and you and I know this as Latinos. There are some Latino immigrants who forget they came here as immigrants and who want to shut the door behind them, and who think being anti-immigrant somehow is going to make them pass as more American, pass as whatever. And that's a very stupid attitude to have, because what folks don't realize is that when the guy drives thousands of miles to go hunt down Latinos in a Walmart in Texas, he doesn't care when you came here. He doesn't care what your accent is. What he's looking for is, does it look like me? Does it sound like me? That's what he's looking for. So, you know, when people are anti something, they're not asking for your papers. They're just anti that group.
She is just so horrible. You know, I have to tell you, I'll just give you this is anecdotal and this is first person, but living here in Miami, where we have tons of Cubans and we have Venezuelans and we have people from Bolivia and all over the place. And on any given day, sometimes I hear more Spanish outside of the house than I hear English. What I know is these people freaking love this country, by and large. Not every single one of them, because I won't play the identity politics game you are. But notice she never says illegal, right? She never says illegal. We're talking about illegal immigrants. That is the thing. It's not about legal immigration. Virtually everyone in America is the ancestor of someone who came here legally. And well, eventually it'll be that your ancestors came here illegally. But the idea that Hispanics have to, they're stupid, right? What Kathy Hochul called Trump people clowns before, and Ana Navarro, you're stupid if you're a Hispanic who doesn't want endless illegal immigration. I mean, it's just absolutely awful. So let's wrap this all up. What really is going on here right now? What do you think is going on here? Well, I'll tell you what I think is going on here. What I think is going on here is there is a dedicated and well-rehearsed plan to destroy the United States. Flood our systems, destroy social services, make it so that half the people think the founding of the country is evil, and that America, by its very existence, is part of some sort of nefarious plot, and all of these things, and that we should only judge each other on whether we're Hispanic or not, or our skin color, or our genitals, and all these things. And eventually, the incredible melting pot that was America was, will no longer be able to hold, right? Because the thing that unites us is precious, it's freedom. And that's pretty easily attacked, and that's what these people have done. And then what will happen? Well, America will become like the societies that all of our ancestors fled. Here is the great Ayaan Hirsi Ali.
Europe is resembling the sorts of streets and places that I left. It was 1992, I was 22, I was covered up. And when my Dutch friends asked me, why are you frightened, what's wrong with you? I would say, no, you don't go out without someone escorting you, you don't go out without covering up. And they would think I was an alien, I had come from some other planet. And in 1992, that was true, I had come from a different planet. But now, that planet that I had come to in Europe, many neighborhoods resemble where I left. And that just happened within 3 decades. And so you can see when I talk about transformation that it doesn't take that long. And so there were really some very serious scholars. They were all telling us back in the day that if this demographic developments continue and we don't do anything about assimilation, there is going to be this flip in 2040, 2050. That's not too far away.
It's not too far away. And Europe, if Europe could have gone back, if they had a time machine, if they had a DeLorean and a flux capacitor and some plutonium, I'm pretty sure almost every native European would go back to about 10 years ago when they let in millions of these people thinking that they were doing the nice thing. And now they have just chaos on their streets and they have Hamas rallies everywhere. And you have people who openly, brazenly say they're here to take out Germany and to take out the UK and everything else. And we're starting to do it here in the United States as well. And what will we be giving up? Well, we got a great compilation of a little Americana. America ain't bad, guys. We got something to fight for. I'm kind of in, you guys want to have hot dogs for lunch and then we'll go punch a communist? What do you say? It's going to be hard to find one here in Florida, but well, maybe Anna Navarro's in town. Who knows? Anyway, my full interview with Tom Bilyeu is up across platforms right now, absolutely free at RubinReport.locals.com. Post-game show in about 30 seconds at RubinReport.locals.com. And, have a nice day. That's it. Goodbye.
Yeah. Your phone ringing. Your phone ringing.